Everybody can see my screen, I hope. So Grassroots Marketing, just talking about marketing efforts that truly last. And this is what I want everybody to walk away with. We find throughout the history of the insurance world, people want to get leads, get leads, get leads, get leads. Give me leads, give me leads, give me leads. Now, don't get me wrong. We just launched a lead program or launching a lead program last week. I spent a lot of time building out the automations for that. Um, and those work. Leads work. Don't get me wrong. But the real success comes from grassroots marketing if you're a 1099 agent and you're not spending $1 million a year in marketing. Okay. As most of you know, I used to run call centers of thousands of agents across the US and across the globe. And we spent millions and millions of dollars in leads to make the phone ring, right? I'm going to tell you, I do not have millions and millions and millions of dollars, or you would just take the S off. I don't have $1 million to spend in leads. And the other part is um, almost everybody on this call is a 1099 agent. And so when you see those call centers that are doing those leads and getting the inbound calls, they are W-2 LOA agents, meaning those who are spending the money on marketing, it's their book. The agents are just getting paid either a flat commission or a hourly plus a commission. So different world when you talk 1099 versus LOA W-2. And so this is going to be geared towards a little bit of both, but mainly for the 1099 agent, okay? So let's get right into it today. What we're going to talk about is the power of events. Activity always equals income, okay? Activity always equals income. It may not equal income today, it may not equal income tomorrow, but eventually activity always equals income, okay? If it does not equal income down the road, you've got to check on how you're presenting. We had this conversation actually a couple of weeks ago with a couple of our agents, and they were just concerned, like, Ryan, we're not seeing, we're not closing the sale per se, right? And so we talked about that, and that'll be another conversation that we can do a training on how to, effectively close sales with seniors, because it's different. Every demographic that you work is going to have a different, and I hate to use the term tactic, but the different way that you consult with them based on who they are, how old they are, where they come from, their background, etc. So you've got to take that into mind. So the power of events we're going to look at first. Activity equals income. We're going to have one slide on working your book. For those of you who have a current book of business, how to make moves, when to make moves, and the right time and the proper compliant way to do it. Number 3 is going to be put your plan to action. A dream without execution is nothing more than just a dream. And then co-op and funding, how to intelligently work your events. So that is the table of contents, or the where we're going to head today. So let's jump right into it. And let's get into the power of events. So when I look at the power of events, I think this is key. If you do not have events on your calendar yet for the rest of the year, you need to get those on your calendar now. Unless you don't really want to work, that's up to you. If you are a 1099 agent, and this is what I say, when I meet with agents and they say, hey, Ryan, we're thinking about working with you, or I'm meeting with agencies that are thinking about working with us, I tell them, I said, listen, this is your business. This is not my business. I'm not paying you a salary. I'm not paying you hourly. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's your job. It's your business. If that's what you want, then I'm not sure the 1099 world is the best for you, right? You've got to be able to build your business. We're here to help. We're here to assist. We're here to provide tools and resources and guidance, but I'm not here to, tell you, you have to have 30 sales this month. You have to have 10 sales this week. Where are your 4 sales today? That's not my job. That is up to you, because if you only want 5 sales a month, then good for you. It's your business. You need to look and see to get out of it what you want out of it, okay? So the power of events are going to help you get to where you want to be. I truly, highly believe that events are the way to go, and the different types of events. So when we look at this, when you're looking at starting events or building events and the power of events, you have to look at your community that you're in, right? So, and ask yourself, why is building your community to build your business? Why is it important to you as an insurance agent or agency? To build your business is important to you because you are going to find the people you reach or the people you're around. It's hard to reach people that you don't see. It's hard to reach people that you don't talk to. So you've got to look at your community and say, how can I be an asset to my community so that I can reap the rewards, reap what I'm sowing back from this community? I want you to know that your goal should never be, I'm going into this community to get X dollars. I'm going to go to my church and you see this a lot. Well, I'm gonna exhaust my church and I'm just gonna get everybody's Medicare sales. Well, it's probably the wrong outlook. Our goal as consultants, support resources, I don't like the term sales agent when you're looking at your community, because it really should be the viewpoint of how can I help my community, or where is my community lacking and where can I fill a gap? If that is your mindset, they're going to be more welcoming to you. They're going to be more advantageous to bring you in. But if you're only there and I want to do this, this, and this, and I want money and I want a sales and I want this, and yes, ROI has to come into the conversation, but your outlook has to be, how can I be a blessing? And if that's your mentality, eventually you'll be blessed. I 100% believe that. When we go into senior communities, we'll talk about this in a little bit. The goal is, where are you going to provide value, right? Not where are they going to provide you value. So really think about your community. What is your community now? What is your community today? And how are we going to grow that community? We're going to talk about that in a couple of slides. What I do want you to think of is the community that you're in right now is going to be a better avenue of marketing for you than to do what I call shotgun marketing. Okay. If you've ever hunted, or if you've ever shot a gun before, a an original shotgun was a gun that would shoot a bullet that splurted everywhere. They then got smarter and they made bullets that had little sheaths inside of them that held a single bullet, so it would be more precise. But the original shotgun, or the term shotgun, is mean you're going to shoot something out and it's going to spray bullets everywhere. I'm going to tell you, shotgun marketing will break your bank. Okay? Shotgun marketing will break your bank. Those that are watching this call, you're looking at, how can I increase my grassroots marketing, for many reasons, but one of them, I bet you, is because you probably don't have $1 million in the bank just for marketing and wasting money, right? So ineffective marketing will break the bank. So let's take a look at different marketing and why I say this. So when you look at the different marketing tactics, and some of you may have seen this slide last year or the year before, it really hasn't changed much. Telemarketing, we do some of these leads. They're $40 to $55 per lead, and they're expensive. Close ratios are low. If you can close 5 to 10% on your telemarketing leads, you're in a good spot. So that gets expensive, and it's hard to do telemarketing if you don't have 10 people sitting waiting for calls. Reality is you've got to have someone available to take the call. Not only that, you've got to have the agent hub or something that's going to record your calls, record your text messages, have the technology, which we have. And those of you that are direct to us and part of the lead program, you'll see that everything comes in. There's automations built out. There's the recording of calls. There's automated responses. There's automated follow-ups. Like, we do everything we can to try to make that $40 to $55 a lead have a return, but there's no guarantee on that. T65 mailers, I literally I priced this out yesterday to do 3,000 letters to a certain community. It's about 94 cents per mailer. 94 cents is what I was quoted yesterday, and that was just for a letter. 94 cents a letter. So 3,000, you're talking $3,000. So a dollar a page, with a 1 to 2% return in the city, and they call that a good return. Facebook social media, $25 to $35 a lead, depending on the marketing that you're doing and who you're reaching out to and how broad your market is. If you're licensed in multiple states and you can take those calls, that helps. But the challenge you have is, a lot of times with Facebook and social media marketing, you have to be able to contact them. They have to answer the phone. So you want to have you need to have something to record your calls, right? So you got to be using the agent hub or something similar. You want to be able to text them first. Hey, this is Ryan. Thank you for submitting the form online. I'm going to give you a call from this number. right? So if you don't have those things built out, you're going to waste a lot of money on some social media leads that may not be effective. Google leads, good luck. Google is extremely expensive, and I would say it's more like $65 to $100 a lead for Google now. BRCs, if you're not familiar with BRCs, it's the little postcards that go out in the mail, and then they tear off the one side, and then they mail that in, and then you call them back. And so these take a couple weeks from when they send it in to when you call them. It's a couple weeks out. There's some success there. I did BRCs with Final Expense before, and Final Expense, you got that little card and you went and knocked on their door and said, "Hey, I'm Ryan, blah, blah, blah. I'm here. Let's talk." Well, guess what? You can't do that with Medicare. Tabletop events, you're looking a minimum of $50. That's with co-op and someone sponsoring it for you. Up to $1,300 or more for the event to do a tabletop event. When you look at everything to get there, these are excellent events. Tabletop events I love tabletop events because people are coming to you. You're going to have a bunch of leads to contact, and out of the 30 leads that you receive or permission to contact, you should be able to close 4 or 5 of those immediately. And then down the road, when you look at AAP and different enrollment times, you can reach back out to them, put them in the automation. And so those are very successful. We built a lot of the book on those types of events. Conferences and health fairs, that's in the same thing. They're just a little more expensive. Clinic events. We met with Village Medical yesterday. They want to work with agents in the community. And that gets to our last page that we're going to talk about today is the co-op piece. They're willing to help with events. They want to help because they want to grow their clinic. But there's things that have to be done when you're in those clinics, right? You've got to fill out the forms. If there's a saying, trust in God, everybody else bring data, right? If they don't have data showing that you're showing up, that you're bringing people to the clinic, that you're getting sales, those types of things, they don't see that. They don't see the return on their investment either. Physician marketing is a great opportunity. When you look at physician marketing, you're going to spend $35 to $50 per visit. What's that mean? You're bringing in cookies, you're bringing in kolaches, you're bringing in fruit baskets and all these things with your business cards and bottles of water and pens and swag and those types of things to see how you can help them, right? Spark provides us with a great T65 educational PowerPoint, as well as a physician marketing PowerPoint that shows how you can help them. So those are very good. When you get into that, when you start to really hone that in to be successful in physician marketing, it's a great place to be, especially with all of the changes that happen within the plans. And so this year, the doctor may not take Devoted, but they may have had 300 people on Devoted last year. So they're going to send a letter to their panel and they're going to say, "Hey guys, unfortunately next year there's some changes. We're not going to be taking Devoted. If you'd like to stay my client and not pay cash, you'd have to, adjust your insurance for this coming year. Here's an agent that I trust that will do right by you to make sure you're on the right plan. Please reach out to them if you want to, continue with your insurance here." Those are great opportunities. And I know people, in 1 year, they'll get 300-400 clients just from that connection, right? So very important to key in on physician marketing. T65 educational dinners, absolutely love these. They are expensive though. T65 dinners, you're going to spend between $2,500 to $5,000 per week. They are expensive. When we get on to the last slide and talk about co-op and clinics and carrier co-op, you want this. T65, you're going to present, and I love the Spark presentation that they provide us. It's personalized with your picture. I have heard personally from multiple seniors, well over 200 seniors, this is the best presentation we've ever seen on Medicare. So you're going to pay for the mailer. The mailer is going to be $2,500 to $3,000, right, for the mailers, depending on how many they're sending out. Then the dinners, depending on where you're going to be, right, lunch and dinners. We always do, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, we always do a lunch and a dinner on a Tuesday, and a lunch and a dinner on Thursday on one card. So one invite has 4 events that they can choose from. It's $15 a person. If you're getting 20 to 30 people for lunch and dinner, you do the math, right? 30, 60, 90, 120. So, those are the things you look at. If you can talk to 120 people for $5,000 and convert 40 to 50% of those, which is typically what we convert minimum, and then the referrals for years after that, a great way to invest some money, but it's expensive. A lot of options out there to get into the community and do some grassroots marketing. So building your community can save the bank. I told you that shotgun marketing can break your bank. Building community can save your bank. Okay. What is your community? First thing to ask yourself and look at is, how do you define your community? A community defined as a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. So when you think of your community, there's various things that can be in your community, but there's particular characteristics that bring you together that you have in common. It's a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. We're all on this call today. We all go to different events because we have a common interest. We want to help seniors. We want to help people with insurance. We want to help them with their investments. We want to help our community, and we want to build a business. That's why we're here today. So what is your community? And this is what you have to, after each one of these, it should be a colon, and then you list out what is your answer. So your community would be the following. Where do you shop? Do you go to the same HEB? Do you go to the same Kroger, right? If you go to these places, and I don't know about you, I'm not good at shopping just once a week. I'm more of like a 5-6 day shopper person, where it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, oh crap, did you take anything out of the freezer? No. Michikana, where are you going? Where do you shop? And are you intentionally building relationships where you shop? Is it the same greeter every week? You go into Walmart 4 times a week. It's the same greeter the same time you go in. Are you saying hi? Are you saying, hey, thank you for what you do? Or are you just so focused on getting in and getting out that community isn't even on your mind? I'm going to tell you, a compliment goes a long way. You can ask my wife. I do this all the time. A compliment, and it could be a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter. Find something to compliment people on, right? If they have pretty eyes, I just want to let you know you have gorgeous eyes. Or, hey, that's a really nice dress that you have on. Sir, that's a really nice hat. I love the shoes, and it doesn't have to be you sitting behind a table selling something. It's just you being a part of your community and aware of your surroundings. And you do this where you shop. You see someone and compliment people, guys. And the world is a nasty place to live in. The world can be a nasty place to live in, and sometimes, you don't know what you're going to do and how you're going to, positively impact someone's life. A simple word of acknowledgement that, hey, I recognize you. So where you shop, where you worship, are you just in and out, right? Are you just in there to do your duty and out just to get out and say, I did it, right? And it doesn't matter where you worship or what your religion is. And we know Jojo's not on this call, but Jojo does a lot of work in her temple. She sponsors a lot, but she doesn't sponsor a lot in the sense of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. If they need something, it could be $100 here, $200 there. She's always there, being a part of her community, helping out, volunteering. So where you worship is your community. Where you serve, do you serve at a food bank? If not, maybe you should, you know? And it's not about, hey, I want to sell you this. I want to sell you this. No, grab the cans and help fill the basket, right? It's not just about having a table there. It's about building your community and those that you're around. Where you spend time together. So what are you doing outside of your business? Are you going to, maybe you like Latin dance, maybe you like to dance, maybe you go to dancing, maybe you just like to go and sit at a coffee shop, maybe you like to go to a cocktail bar, where you spend time. Maybe you're just sitting around a campfire, right? Wherever you are, maybe you're at the gym, right? Don't be awkward at the gym. People go there to work out. So be careful at the gym. You don't want to get in trouble. But where you spend time together, where your family is. Does your family know what you do? Or do you treat this as like a 007 hidden profession? Right? This isn't a hidden profession. There's nothing to be ashamed about, being an insurance agent. Your goal is to help people. And if they really know what you do, you probably get some more family referrals. Now, I'm not saying you want to sell to family. They're going to expect a lot from you, and they're going to want you to do everything. So be aware before you get into selling to family and helping your family with their insurance. Understand what that's going to entail. Where you live, your community, and the list goes on and on. Okay, so understanding where you are and what your community is, you should be able to put a colon right by all of these and list what is that for you. That's going to help you understand your market. Be specific. Building your community, or how to begin building your community, is important. You need to be specific. Know your demographics, know the languages, know the zip codes, etc. Where are you focusing your efforts? And if you're going to do multiple areas, have specific days and times that you're working in those areas. The worst thing you could do is just shotgun market everywhere And now you've got to be in Clear Lake today. You've got to be in Conroe tomorrow. You've got to be in Lake Jackson the next day. You've got to be in Beaumont the day after, and Austin the day after. You're going to go broke and you're going to go insane. You're going to be exhausted. Find an area that you want to focus in first. Build that book there, and then begin once you feel like you've got that under control. Then you can branch out and go other places. I would be very careful of trying to force yourself all over the map. And you know, I would be very specific in what you want. Okay. There's many tools that can help gather information. Spark has a demographic tool as well, that we can use. You can Google, you can use US Census data, CMS data. All these things are available to you. And then just general information. You know, hey, if I want to help the DSNP community, right? If that's your market, you're going to go into low income areas, right? If you want to focus on DSNP, you're not going to go to the Heights and you're not going to go to the Woodlands, right? You need to be specific on where you want to go based on what you're looking to do. Okay. Number two, have a plan. So know the types of establishments that you're going to begin to market. Senior housing facilities, right? What's the difference between an active and an assisted living? If you don't know that, you need to know that before you try to get into senior housing facilities. Assisted livings, I'll say 8 times out of 10, they are not the decision makers for their health care, right? So all the efforts, and it's not a bad thing to help out in those communities. You just have to know what you're getting into. You couldn't sit down with someone and say, hey, Mrs. Smith, I want to let you know, I think this is the best plan for you. Why don't we sign up for this today? She's going to say, yeah, that sounds great. And then you're going to complain 2 months later when her daughter tries to bring her to the same doctor and that doctor's not in network, but you didn't know that because you didn't know that she wasn't the power of attorney for her health care. And now you've got a CMS complaint because you wrote an application, on someone who isn't, you know, legally able to make their own decisions. Now, there's ways to get around that, and there's ways to protect yourself from that because you weren't aware, you weren't told, but you've got to be wise in how you market, right? So active living, 55 plus senior communities, great places to be in, doing bingos and events and, you know, various games. Do not go into senior active centers and just say, I want to do monthly Medicare meetings and this is all I want to do. Educational meetings every week, because all that looks like is it's all about you and it's all about you wanting the business. Remember, I told you it's about how can you serve and how can you be a blessing. So, hey, I want to do a birthday party monthly for your birthday celebrants, right? I want to come in and do bingo. I want to come in and do whose line is it anyways? You know, you want to have, I want to go in and do wine and cheese nights, right? Those things. And then once a quarter, once every 4 or 5 months, hey, I want to do an educational seminar on Medicare or educational seminar on annuities, you know, depending on where you are. Clinics and physician offices, if you're going to go in there, what's your plan? Have business cards, have goodies, you know, don't just go in with business cards saying, hey, I'm an agent and I want your business. Not going to work. Hey, I want to help you. Are you looking to build your panel? Have you had any challenges with carriers this year not paying? And are you thinking about making some changes with your carriers on who you accept in the next 12 to 24 months? Well, possibly because they're not paying as fast. Well, I would love to be able to help you with that and give you some insight on different plans. We work real closely with the insurance agents or the insurance companies. I'd love to give you some resources on that and show you how we can help build your panel and save your panel when these things happen. So it's a very different conversation than going in, hey, I'm an insurance agent and I'd like you to refer people to me. They're gonna be like, okay, you and everybody else. How do you bring value, right? Dental and vision providers. I would say Vanessa Reyna for WellPoint has an excellent training on this. It's actually on the hub on the dental providers and how to market out to them. I think she's actually coming up and doing one here in the next couple of weeks as well. Places of worship. Again, guys, it's got to be how can I serve, not just how can I be served. Okay. And that is very Christian centric, right? I came to serve, not to be served, is what Jesus said, right? So, how can you come to serve rather than be served? Think about that in all these places that you do, community centers, and food banks. Okay. Again, with food banks, it's good to have a table there, but I think it's more important that you're there to serve. Okay. Be there to be a help, be there a resource, etc. Number three on this one, we've only got a few more slides left, guys. How to begin building your community continued. Know how to make connections, right? You can have all the plans in the world, but if you're awkward as, you know, well, I'm not going to say it, but if you're really awkward, it's going to be hard to make connections. Relax, chill, take a deep breath. When you're building relationships, with any organizations, it just can't be about you. And we already said this 100 times, right? Be there, be present, and care. You know, I think one of the things that, why, we continue to grow as an agency is because we really do care. I do care. Rush cares. The agency owners that are with us are on here. They care. They want to see you grow. And when you go into places to make connections, they need to see that you're genuine, and then it's not just about you. Okay. They want to see you often as well, not just when you need something. So make sure you have something set up where, hey, I'm going to go visit this doctor, just check in. How are things going? You need some water. What do you get going on? The opportunities are endless. Food handouts, Bible studies, karaoke, lunch and learns, bingo, card games, health fairs, strategy meetings to help build their panel, etc. Your events should also match the demographic that you're targeting, right? You're not going to go into a Jewish community center and serve food that's not kosher, right? You're not going to go into an Indian community and have a pig roast, right? Be wise with how you're marketing and the demographic that you're marketing. Okay. Number three on this is, often the how is going to be the same for all techniques and categories. You go into the facility, you introduce yourself, you bring a goodie, never go in empty handed when you go, tell them who you are, how you'd like to be a part of their community and volunteer, the team with events. Have some marketing materials with you that you can leave and schedule a more in-depth meeting to discuss your first event or your volunteer effort, right? It's all going to be the same, no matter if you're going to senior center, a doctor's office. It's all going to be the same. It's just what you're doing may be a little different. Schedule your plan. Guys, I can't say this enough, especially as we look into the lead programs and everything that we're doing. You've got to schedule your plan. You must keep an organized calendar of what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Life is going to happen. Tiredness will happen. Discouragement is going to happen, but live by your calendar. If it's on your calendar, you do it. That's what's there, right? If you have something to do, make sure it's on your calendar. If you join the lead program, these leads and calendar schedules for you to reach out to a client. If someone schedules something on your calendar and you've got 18 other things booked at that time, you think you're going to close that lead? 9 times out of 10, no. You might find someone that's nice and say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. But you've got to have your calendar updated, okay? And you don't have to say, I've got a colonoscopy at 4 p.m. Just say doctor's appointment, right? You don't have to be specific. Just make sure that time is blocked off, or just put personal. Boom, blocked off, right? Consistency is key. Understand it's going to take a lot of sowing to reap a harvest. Like a farmer who plants corn, he knows it's going to take a while for him to get back from his labor, but he understands it's going to come back to him. This is the same way. Activity equals income, maybe not today, but it will be someday, right? How often should you visit and follow up? Weekly, bi-weekly, but remember, never go empty-handed. Include wise partnerships. Us and Spark and various carriers and clinic partnerships are begging for agents and agencies to be active. Make sure that you partner your resources for knowledge, connections, and co-op. Work your book. Okay, so this is one I want to be very careful on, and don't take me the wrong way when I say this. If you have a current book of business and you've had this book of business for more than 30 days, you need to work your book of business. Now, this isn't, and when we read this, it could sound like, oh, I just want to flip my book to get new commissions. No, that's not true. Now, that's a benefit of doing it, yes, but that should not be your only focus. If that's your focus, don't do it. But if you have a current book of business, it's wise to work this book to ensure you are maximizing, get this, maximizing your client's benefits, not yours. You're maximizing your client's benefits as well as your financial opportunity, but it's about your client. Never move a client because it financially benefits you. Ensure the plan is the best option for your client. Okay. So why would this matter? Right? Well, there's different opportunities that different carriers have. If Memorial Hermann had a marketing co-op, they were giving marketing co-op direct to the agent for every sale that they sold, right? So they're getting like an extra $200 for every sale they put into Memorial Hermann. Now, that is not the only reason to put someone on Memorial Hermann, right? But if it made sense for the client, then yes, do it, right? If I've got, and this is reality, if I have a client, and let's say they were, for lack of better terms, they were on Cigna, right? They're on Cigna today. They like their plan. It's okay. It's missing a few things, but And then there was a Memorial Hermann plan and a United Healthcare plan. Let's say they all had the same doctors, the network was the same, the doctors, the specialists, the prescriptions. It was not going to cost them any more money, right? But Memorial Hermann had a grocery benefit that they could, take advantage of. They had a higher OTC they could take advantage of. They had a higher dental that they could take advantage of, right? All the other plans have the same doctors and network for this instance. And then Memorial Hermann was also going to give you a $200 marketing bonus, not bonus, a marketing co-op. Can't say bonus in Medicare. Of course, write the Memorial Hermann plan because it's the right thing to do for your client and it's going to benefit you as well. But it's got to be about the client, not about you. So there's a couple examples there based on what I explained. But think about working your old book because plans do change often. There was a lot of change this year. And if you didn't look at your old book and say, okay, I think this plan may be better for you, let's take a look at this. You've got to, if you don't do it, somebody else will, right? That's how you have to look at it. If I don't take care of my clients and offer them something that I believe is going to benefit them more, somebody else may come around and offer that plan that you should have and take your book of business. Put your plan into action. Very simple. A dream is without execution is just a dream. There's no fruition to the dream without execution. So you've got to build the plan, you've got to put it to action. And how you do this is, okay, if I'm going to do this, how do I get here? I'm going to go to the senior center. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to put a birthday party for the seniors on the books for next month. And then a couple weeks later, after I'm there, I'm going to come back, check in, make sure everything's okay. I say, hey, okay, now let's get a bingo for the following month. Let's get a whose line is it for the month after that. And then after those first two events, I'm going to come in and say, hey, I've got the whose line is it game next month. After that, I want to do an educational seminar just to help some people, okay? You've earned their trust. You've been there. You've been good. You've showed up. You've brought goodies. You've been good to the people. They like you. You've interacted. Everything's going well. Now's the time to say, hey, okay, now I want to do something that's going to help me, right? But I'd never go in the first month, and that's my goal. Co-op and funding. Co-op defined and how it works, okay? Last slide. How it works. Co-op is an aspect where an agency and or carrier or clinic will assist you with funding, marketing efforts, and success. Typically, there has to be efforts and proven ROI, return on investment, from the agent prior to approval for co-funding, okay, or co-op funding. What does that mean? It means that often an agency like us, you're a direct agency. So if you're under like Sara Lee or you're under Blue Prism or FOV or any of the other agencies that we partner with, you would go to them for co-op. You would explain to them what your business plan is, and they would look at the return on investment, what you've sold so far, if there is an ROI on it, and then figure out how much they can help you with. That's typically how it works. And then also we try to work with clinics and carriers to see if they'll help as well, okay? When an agent's marketing efforts are co-op, the agent is still usually responsible for at least half of the funding if you're a 1099 agent, independent agent, and possibly possibly less if you're a LOA W-2 agent. So you'll usually get more funding from your agency and more co-op if you're W-2 because it's not your book, right? You're building somebody else's book, but you're either getting like a marketing, usually you get like a marketing allowance for the month, or you're on an hourly comp as well. So if you are an independent agent, which most of you are, you should go into things planning to pay at minimum 50% of anything that you're doing. You're an independent business owner. Okay. This is your business. This is your business, right? We're here to help you. We'll try to find carriers to help what we can, right? But it's your business. That is key to remember because I hear it all over the nation. Oh, I need an FMO that's just going to give me leads all day, but they want to be a 1099. It's sweetheart. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. You're building your book, you're building your business. So just really understand how that works. And we can go in more depth one-on-one if you need more information. But that's really it, guys. When you look at grassroots marketing, where's your community? How do you get into your community? How are you going to be that one that's there, that's trusted, that is branching out outside of just one area? That, when you go into places, you're building relationships, your community should continue to grow. If your community is shrinking, that means your outlook on life and your outlook on others is probably shrinking as well. So let's build our community. Let's get a plan. Let's execute on that plan. Let's talk about the clinics and carriers that want to co-op with these things, and let's get it done, okay? So that's it for today. I'm going to stop sharing. No questions in the chat, so it seems like we're good there. Are there any questions before I stop the recording that's germane or to what we're talking about today? So Young, I normally do at least 2 touch points per year with my book of business, but I'd like to do more. What do you recommend? Currently, after enrollment, I follow up 2 weeks after to make sure they received their new card, welcome kit. Then, of course, I reach out again prior to AEP for annual review. What else can I add? I know Spark sends those monthly emails and birthday cards. What else can I do? Great question, Sue Young. So when it comes to this, and I've actually asked, I'm working with Spark on some things, on the integration with the hub and all of those things. Um, I am working on some journeys that would come from you guys that would have more of just a hey, just checking in to see how things are going. That you literally, as soon as you have someone in your book of business, you can put them in this journey, and then it'll send a text message from you. It'll send a quick email. Hey, this is Soo Young. Just check in and see how you're doing. With Susie, we've done some voicemail drops as well. That's been helpful. Just and I think that actually isn't a bad idea. Do a monthly voicemail drop and
Hmm.
just a hey guys, this is Sue Young, your insurance agent. I just wanted to say happy May. I hope that you have a great month and that everything goes well. Remember, if you do need anything, please reach out, right? And we can set those things up just every month, just a new little voicemail drops, and their phone rings for a second and it goes right to voicemail. They'll see the transcript of it. They'll be able to listen to it. So I think those are some things that we're currently working on to build out that
Love
I think
it.
would be very
Hmm.
helpful for you as an agent and keeping that connection. Another thing, so we had a training 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago with not Memorial Herman, Manhattan Life. And they have that home healthcare product that pays $10 for every generic and 25 for every brand name prescription on that plan, and that plan is usually between 25 to 30 $35 a month. I worked with Spark over the last couple of weeks, and they have built out a report that you can get from request that will basically say anyone that has 3 or more prescriptions, put them in a list. And so that's another area where we can reach out to them and say, hey, I wanted to send this information packet on home health care. It looks like you are on a minimum of 3 prescriptions, which would get you back $30 per month, which would pay for this plan. But here's the benefits that you would get while you're on this plan. Let's schedule a call and walk over how this would be a benefit to you, right? If you could get 30 to 40 of those from your book of business, and that it's not going to cost them anything, it's going to benefit them with benefits. And then you guys are going to get, I think it's like 55% of the premium is your commission every month. So I think there's some really good ways that we can increase your revenue in this off season, this SEP season, as well as increase the benefits for your clients. And I think that really where, hey, how do I provide value? I think that comes back to you on the other end. So I'll have a notification about that here shortly in an email. And if you're interested to get that and build out some campaigns, we'll have that available for you guys. Okay. I'm going to share a little bit. So Susie's on this call. So as you know, clinics and carriers like to partner with agents. They have a goal too. They have a return. It's not just because they want to be good people, right? But they want to grow. So Susan came in from WellPoint. She was a captive agent. She had about 750 or so in her book of business there. But when she left, none of them were hers. Technically, she's not getting paid for any of them. So we have spent the last better of 6 to 7 months trying to get those back and put things into play. So recently we just partnered with Centerwell, and they're going to do 2 events for her, where it'll be like a client appreciation brunch where we'll invite them into 2 of their different clinics and give them brunch. Susan will answer some questions, a little presentation on Centerwell, and so we've done that. Those happen in a couple of weeks. Really looking forward to that. So really, how do you get in your community? How do you work with the carriers and the clinics to help provide some of these things? Just some things to think about, guys. Okay. So if you watch this recording and you say, hey, Ryan, I've got this idea, or if you're here now, you say, hey, I got this idea, get some time on my calendar and let's chat and really build this out. Because you need to have that plan and then let's execute on that plan.